looks like the Red Sox are going to continue to try and add to their starting pitcher depth. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. If there's one thing we've learned from the beginning of this season, it's that the Red Sox are probably going to need a whole lot of depth to get through 2024. Already so far this year, 4 of their starters are currently on the IL, and 3 of their relievers are on the IL as well. If you count Brian Mata and Brandon Walter, that's a whole lot of bodies missing from these games. Well, one way to supplement that is to continue to improve the pitching pipeline or the depth chart for the Boston Red Sox, and that's exactly what the Boston Red Sox are trying to do with this latest free agent signing. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break this down a little bit, talk about who the guy is, why the Red Sox may have signed him, and what this could mean for the team. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Don't forget, these episodes are also always available on anywhere you get your podcasts, whether that be Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can now listen to Red Seat Radio on the go. Links are either in the description of this video, or you can head over to your favorite podcasting app and just search Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so for those of you who missed it earlier today, it was announced by Chris Henrique of Beyond the Monster that the Boston Red Sox had signed former Reds starting pitcher Sal Romano to a minor league contract. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is some groundbreaking, earth-shattering, part-moving piece that's going to completely alter the course of the 2024 season. Sal had a decent 2-year run with the Reds back in 2017 and 18, where he spent most of it as a starting pitcher. Exactly 41 of his 45 appearances came as a starter. He had a .499 ERA with a bit lower, but nothing really of note, .468 FIP, a 6.9 strikeouts per 9, and a 3.5 walks per 9. Good for an 86 ERA plus, about 14% below league average production. From there, it was a bit of a downward slope, because after 2018, he only pitched in 42 2/3 innings over the next 3 seasons combined. In that time span, he was not a very effective pitcher. A 6.54 ERA with a 5.86 FIP and a 74 ERA plus, again about 26% below league average production. This has led to a career total over parts of 5 seasons of a 5.23 ERA, a 4.86 FIP, a 1.482 WHIP, and an 83 ERA plus, about 17% below league average production in a total of 275 1/3 innings. Now, I know that's a lot of numbers to throw at you really quickly, and I apologize for that, but basically what you need to know about Sal is that he started off doing fairly decently, sort of fell off a cliff, and overall his career numbers are well below average. From there, I honestly don't know what happened to Sal Romano. After 2021, he did not pitch with a major league organization. That means either in a system or at the big league level. We haven't really seen Sal Romano on an affiliated mound for a couple of years. I couldn't exactly find where he was pitching or what he was doing in that time span, but we know it's not playing for a professional, at least major league team or major league system. What is cool about this signing, I will point out, is that he is from Connecticut, which is technically part of New England, even though some parts feels more like it's part of New York. Either way, it feels like a homecoming a little bit for Sal Romano. Now, like I said at the beginning, clearly, these aren't groundbreaking statistics. Like I said, I usually try and pull something of note on the players the Red Sox sign, any insight as to why they may have picked someone up like this, especially when it's a player that has spent some time in Major League Baseball. Usually, there's some sort of reason for it. Usually, there's something that we can point out and say, okay, if the Red Sox can fix this, or if the Red Sox can get to there, this could be a really interesting arm. With Sal, everything's just sort of mid, and I don't want to be disrespectful to him, and I think he's still great for making the major leagues and everything, but you look at everything that we put on the table here, and there's nothing really to point out and be like, man, if he could just improve on this, everything turns around, right? He's going to need to improve on basically everything. His strikeouts per 9 were a little bit lower, his walks per 9 were a little bit higher than you like, he was letting up more hits than you like. It's everything just sort of needs to either go one way or the other to be a major league pitcher. However, in terms of pointing out some positives here, his rookie campaign really wasn't too bad. He had a 4.45 ERA with a 101 ERA plus. Again, not terrible, 1% above league average production, but it's not like he was setting the world on fire for a period of time and died off. He just never really, at least statistically, was anything more than a league average arm. The one thing that you could maybe point to as a point of interest here for the Red Sox is that he's about an earned run average better as a starter than he is as a reliever, with a 5.07 ERA as a starter and a 5.84 ERA as a reliever in basically the same amount of games. So if you made it to this point in the video, you're probably sitting there thinking to yourself, Corbin, why are we making a video about this? Well, one of the reasons is because I always like keeping you guys informed. At some point during the year, there may come an opportunity where you end up in a hole because of injuries and a guy like Sal Romano has to come up. And instead of sitting there thinking, who the hell is this guy and why is he on my TV right now? Like we did last year with Kyle Barraclough at some point, right? That guy, he came up and we were like, who the heck is this guy? And then he gave up 150 runs or whatever it was. So it's important, at least from a bare minimum standpoint here, that you're as informed as humanly possible about who could be making an appearance on the Boston Red Sox. But the second thing I wanted to point out about this signing, the reason we are making a video about a minor league contract that was signed just a couple of hours ago, is because of the fact that I think this indicates something about Craig Breslow in general, the philosophy of the Boston Red Sox right now, right? Because you take a look at the people that they have signed in similar situations or even traded for in similar situations since the season began. There was that pitcher from Tampa, there was that guy they picked up who had also started for the Reds, and now you got this guy as well, Gutierrez. That's the guy who was picked up from the Reds, and now you add Sal Romano to this. What this looks like is exactly what an organization should do if they are comfortable and confident in their pitching technique throughout the system, right? Because these are the type of players that, hey, you look at some of their stuff and you're like, okay, maybe there's something to this, but the rest of their arsenal is like, well, wait a second here. These are the type of guys that you take in and you turn into viable options at some point, and maybe not viable in terms of, hey, Sal Romano is going to be our number 5 starter for the rest of the year. I think that's sort of worst case scenario here, but viable in terms of, hey, if we get to the very last possible option, maybe that guy can still give us some outs to the big league level. Because over the last couple of years, you haven't really had that. I go back to that Kyle Barraclough game where you just flat out were so beat down due to injuries and beat down due to just poor performances, they had to go to a guy that you knew was going to get shelled the second he got into Major League Baseball. It's clear that Craig Breslow, this front office, is trying to change that a little bit. They're trying to get to a point where, hey, someone goes down and it's not a season-ending injury, right? Obviously, Cutter Crawford, knock on wood, goes down tonight for the rest of the year. There's no solving that problem, just like there's probably no solution to losing Tristan Casas for most, if not the entire 2024 season. But if Cutter Crawford does go down again, please God, Corbin, don't jinx this, knock on wood. If he does go down and it's a couple of days, this is the type of stuff you lean on to be like, okay, now at least we have something to go out there and give them 5 innings and get you to a point where you are healthy without absolutely decimating your entire season. And that's why, personally, I think these signings are really fascinating. Not because they're going to be mainstay pieces, not because they're going to be guys who are going to transform the entire season, but because they could be the difference between, hey, 86, 84, 82 wins, right? If you can mend your rotation for 2 turns through and then get a guy like Nick Pivetta or Garrett Whitlock who's on the IL back without really sinking and treading water, well, now you're in a much better spot. So it is a little bit fascinating to me the way the Red Sox are going about acquiring and figuring out what their starting pitching depth is going to look like in the minor leagues. Now, Sal Romano's probably at the bottom of the list right now. You're probably looking at him as, I don't know, plan F, plan G, but it is important to still have those guys. He's one of those guys where it's 3 distinct possibilities. We're either going to make this video and then never talk about him again. He disappears into the system somewhere and we just never hear about Sal Romano ever again. He's going to come up and he's going to absolutely get rocked, DFA'd, and then we'll never hear about him again. Like, again, we always go back to poor Kyle Barraclough, who is now infamous in Red Sox Nation. Or, again, best case scenario here is the Red Sox are able to tweak tweak some things, and at the bare minimum, make him viable for 2 or 3 games in a worst case scenario. That's sort of the best hope here for Sal Romano. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? What do you think about this signing? Do you care at all? Is it something you're interested in? Are you like me, who's a little weirdly nerdy about this, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe this points to the direction of the club? Or are you like, Corbin, this means absolutely nothing, he's going to have no impact? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox signing in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you've hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Don't forget, also, all available wherever you get your podcasts. Link are in the description or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.